Your home may look normal, but your brain may be reading it as unfinished work. The pile of papers that was never dealt with. The broken thing you keep passing without fixing. The box you moved here from your last home and have never opened. The clothes that belong to someone you are no longer trying to be. None of them feel dangerous, but they are communicating with you constantly. And what they say, quietly, on repeat, is this: something is still waiting to be decided. You do not have a clutter problem. You have unfinished decisions living in your home. This is the core of why many Japanese-inspired homes feel different. Not because they are empty, but because they run a different system. The practice called danshari, refuse, dispose, separate, treats the home not as storage for everything that has ever entered, but as a curated environment for the person living in it now. Your home has been quietly shaping how you think, how you rest, and how you feel about your own life. These are 15 things that quietly disrupt that system and what to do instead. The first one hides behind good intentions. Things kept just in case. The extra cords, the jars you might reuse, the tools borrowed from yourself and never returned, the bags inside bags. This feels like preparation, like wisdom, like not being wasteful. But your brain does not experience just-in-case objects as preparation. It experiences them as unresolved decisions. Every time you see something you are keeping for a hypothetical future, your mind registers a choice that was never made. And unmade choices accumulate. Japanese minimalism is suspicious of just in case. Not because preparation is wrong, but because fear often wears its costume. Ask, if this situation actually arose today, would I realistically use this? Or am I keeping it to manage an anxiety I have never named? Second, broken things you keep promising to fix. There is something specific about the weight a broken object carries. It is not just broken. It is evidence that something did not get resolved. Every time you walk past the cracked frame, the wobbly chair, the lamp that flickers, your brain logs it as an unfinished task, a loop that is still open. The principle of Mote Tainai teaches respect for objects, but it is not a reason to keep things held together by guilt rather than repair. Something has stopped being useful when it sits broken for months, while guilt is what keeps it in place. Fix it this week, find it a repair shop, or release it honestly. The loop needs to close. Ask, am I keeping this because I intend to fix it, or because I feel guilty letting it go? Third, and this one is quiet and personal. Clothes from a version of you that no longer exists. Your closet may be storing identities you no longer want to perform. The professional wardrobe from the job that burned you out. The clothes from a relationship that ended. The jeans kept as motivation for a future body. The dress that belonged to someone you were trying to be. Every time you open that closet, your brain sees a version of you that is not here anymore. Not a memory. A reminder that you have not fully moved on. Japanese-inspired homes treat clothing as something that supports the person you are right now. Not the person you were. Not an aspirational future version. The actual person who wakes up here every morning. Ask, does this reflect who I am today, or who I was, or who I was told I should become? But the next one is even quieter, and almost everyone has it. Paper piles with no decision attached. Papers are not clutter. They are decisions you postponed. The bill that needs disputing, the form waiting for a response, the document you are not sure whether to file or discard. When papers pile up, the mind reads them as accumulating debt. Not financial debt, cognitive debt. The exhaustion of carrying what has not been dealt with. And that exhaustion does not disappear when you leave the house. It follows you. Many Japanese homes have almost no paper. What arrives gets processed, filed, acted on, or released. The pile does not grow because the pile is understood as mental weight, not just physical mess. Ask, what decision is this paper waiting for me to make? Fifth, and this one requires some care. Gifts you keep out of guilt. A gift is an expression of love in the moment of giving. The love lives in that moment, not in the object itself. And yet, many homes hold things that were never wanted, never used, and never displayed with any feeling other than the quiet discomfort that someone gave them. This feels like loyalty, like gratitude, like protecting the relationship. But keeping something out of guilt is not the same as honoring the person who gave it. The gratitude lives in you. It does not require the object to stay. Ask, am I keeping this because it brings me something real or because I fear what releasing it would say about me? This is where most people confuse loyalty with clutter. Now the next several move faster, but do not let that fool you. Their hidden cost is just as real. Duplicate items, 2 blenders, 4 measuring tapes because you can never find the first one, enough towels for a small hotel. Duplicates feel like abundance, but they create hidden maintenance. They fill space, make organizing harder, and multiply decisions. Many Japanese homes keep only what is used regularly, not a backup of everything, just what is needed, with purpose. Ask, am I using both of these or storing one as insurance against a problem that has not happened? Cheap objects that create visual noise. The promotional pen, the small plastic thing that came with something else and has been migrating around your home ever since. None of them feel worth removing individually. Together, they make a room feel louder than it should. The concept of intentional empty space, is destroyed one small object at a time. Ask, did I choose this to be here, or did it simply accumulate until it felt permanent? And this is the one that makes a home feel heavy without ever looking messy. Things with no home. In a well-functioning home, every object has a place. When you need something, you know exactly where it is. When you use it, it returns. But many homes have a population of homeless objects, things that drift from surface to surface, always in the wrong place, never quite settled. Japanese organization begins with a single decision about where each thing lives, and then keeping that agreement. When an object has no home, it is always somewhere wrong. That wrongness registers as noise. Ask, does this object have a specific place, or does it just drift to wherever I last put it down? Sentimental clutter without a story. Memory deserves space. Photographs, meaningful letters, objects from people you love. These have earned their place. But there is a difference between honoring a memory and hosting an object you can no longer explain. If you cannot remember the story of why something is here, you are not preserving a memory. You are carrying an object that has outlived its meaning. Japanese minimalism distinguishes between memory and accumulation. Not everything old deserves to stay. Only what you can actually name, actually connect with, and actually choose right now to keep. Ask, can I tell the specific story of why this is here? Or has it simply survived long enough to feel significant? The next object may not look like clutter at all. Expired products, the skincare from last year, the spices at the back of the cupboard that stopped being spices 2 years ago, the medicine you never finished, the cleaning product that no longer works. Expired things are forgotten corners of a life, evidence of intentions that did not become habits, a version of daily life that is no longer happening, but is still taking up space. Ask, when did I last actually use this? And what am I really waiting for? Unfinished projects. These carry a different kind of weight. The half-finished painting. The book you started writing months ago. The craft materials on the table. The renovation that stopped when it got difficult. Every unfinished project is not just taking up space, it is asking for your attention, making you feel quietly guilty every time you pass it, blurring the line between aspiration and burden. In Japanese-inspired living, a project is either being worked on actively or it gets a real decision. Not an intention to return someday, a real decision. Continue or release. Ask, am I still building this, or has it become a monument to a version of myself I keep holding on to? Items that make cleaning harder. Too many objects on surfaces. Too many things to move before a counter can be wiped. Make maintenance feel like a project. And when upkeep requires effort just to reach baseline, the home tends to stay slightly behind all the time. Many Japanese homes are designed around easy maintenance. Not empty, just uncluttered enough that care is simple. Ask, does this object make my home easier or harder to take care of each week? Digital clutter made physical. Old cables, chargers for devices you no longer own, manuals no one will ever read, old phones, old accessories. Keep only what connects to what you currently use, not what used to connect, not what might connect, what connects now. Ask, does this belong to a device I actually own and use right now? This is where the home starts reflecting an old identity. Objects connected to old stress. The things from the job that broke you. The objects from a relationship that ended badly. The items from a chapter of your life you have been trying to leave behind. These do not announce themselves as clutter, but when you see them, something contracts. A brief return to a version of yourself you have worked to move past. Japanese culture holds that a home should support the life you are living now. It is not an archive of everything that has ever happened to you. Some chapters end, and releasing them is not forgetting. It is choosing not to carry them forward. Ask, does this object carry a feeling I am ready to stop revisiting? And finally, the one that ties everything together. Anything that no longer supports the life you are building. Not the life you had. Not the life you feel you should want. The life you are actually building, right now, with the choices you make each day. When you look around your home, what does it say about you? What version of your life does it reflect? And is that version still the one you are choosing? Japanese-inspired simplicity holds that the environment shapes the person inside it. A home filled with old decisions and old identities pulls the